Hello and welcome to Ureka series by UNext. My name is Bhushan, and in this session we will be going through a quick introduction of product engineering. Why do we need product engineering? How does it matter to us? And why is it key for product engineering to be adopted by organizations for their success? Let's look at some of the importance, let's look at some of the challenges, and let's look at some of the key essence of implementing product engineering. Now, we all understand organizations succeed because they are pioneering at something. We all understand that organizations which have succeeded, as you can see, some of the organizations which have succeeded, been pioneers in the industry, let's say 25-30 years back, they all did so because they had a successful product. They were able to conceptualize, they were able to design, and they were able to get a successful product to the market. How did they do this? For being successful in the market, they had a traditional approach. The traditional approach of product engineering took them through what we call as the waterfall model. The waterfall model started from the discovery, ideation, design, development, testing, launch, and finally maintained. One of the things which these organizations faced as a challenge was they were able to invent, they were able to pioneer a product once, but they were not able to continue. So for them, innovation became a milestone. It was not a moving target for them. Yeah. So the traditional approach with its sequential development, as you can see, with its the ability for teams to collaborate being on the lesser side with isolated teams, with the slow time to market because of the product life cycle being long, created a challenge for these organizations because there was limited customer engagement due to the linear approach and rigidity to accept change. Now think about it. 25-30 years back, the kind of organizations which were succeeding, the traditional organizations, could be the construction, could be the engineering organizations. These were organizations which succeeded in a market where the change of rate was slow, where the external market fluctuations were non-existent, where the dynamics of today's world of inflation, of rapid technology change didn't exist. And so a linear model suited them very well. A linear model suited them well because because the requirements were fairly clear. A linear model worked for them because the roles and responsibilities were fairly clear. Today's world, though, is not like that. Let's see. The successful organizations of today are organizations which are able to continuously innovate, which don't pioneer just once, but they keep pioneering. They keep innovating, they keep transforming. And what is common in these organizations is that they have followed a modern approach towards product engineering. In the VUCA world, what is important is the organization's ability to keep winning. So not just win once, but to keep winning. And its ability to move from concept to design to implement and to market as quickly as possible. And the ability to iterate this is the key. So let's look at the modern approach. What is different? The modern approach embraces agile iterative development. Now, one of the benefits of this is it really cuts short the time from concept to market. Yeah? It allows for cross-functional team collaboration. As we saw, the iterative approach really brings in teams from different disciplines together to be able to understand, empathize with the end users of the product and bring in the innovation. It allows for faster time to market. The real beneficiaries of the modern approach are the customers because there's a continuous customer engagement through the iterative process. And the organization benefits because there is ability to adapt and stay flexible to the changing requirements of the market. Now let's look at how the modern approach differs from the traditional approach. Is it really different? So let's look at this. The traditional approach we saw is the waterfall approach. Now the modern approach where it innovates is that once we have discovered the actual needs of the end user, The idea is to be able to move from design to maintain to market in an iterative fashion. So where the modern approach differs is in its ability to iterate right from the customer engagement point of understanding the needs to releasing of the product to the market, to the end users. So this is the key difference between the modern approach and the traditional approach. So we saw how the modern approach differs from the traditional approach. In essence, what the modern approach really brings in is proximity to the client for the designers. We all understand whether it is the healthcare industry, manufacturing, it could be the IT industry. The challenge is to really understand the customer, the end user. So where the modern approach excels is in narrowing that gap, especially when there is an iterative approach. Now the modern approach embraces three key aspects. Let's look at what are some of these core principles which the modern approach embraces. The first is agile. Now we understand the waterfall model is a linear model. The modern approach, with its agility, with its ability to keep processes agile, allows organizations to work in an iterative manner. You can think of the mobile industry, you can think of a product industry today, the gaming industry. All of them work on the aspect that there are constant upgrades and releases which comes in. And the modern approach, with its agility built in, allows them to work in an iterative fashion. They are able to work on what has been agreed upon as the minimum viable product for that release, and they are able to plan the releases accordingly, plan the feature releases accordingly. It also embraces continuous improvement, continuous deployment philosophy. Right? Now what this allows the organizations to do is it allows organizations to collaborate. It allows organizations to allow faster time to market. Yeah, it allows organizations to bring in sense of collaboration across the silos, which the traditional approach really had a challenge with. Very importantly, the third core principle which the modern approach embraces is one which is firmly embedded in the concept of innovation. So the innovation trifecta of desirability, viability and feasibility allows organizations to prioritize, allows organizations to understand, empathize with end users and look at which features, which releases can be planned, i.e. which is desirable for the end users, which of these releases or features is viable from the fact that from a project management perspective, is it viable and feasible, right? So given the limited resources that we have to execute projects and innovate and create new products, the trifecta becomes a very, very significant North Star to follow. Yeah. Now let's look at the impact of the modern approach. The modern product engineering approach touches all the different aspects of product engineering. Now when we look at a customer, from a customer's perspective, the modern approach really helps bring in a greater customer involvement. We saw that having an agile approach ensures that at every phase of the product engineering, of the product development, we are able to bring in customers' engagement in terms of either empathizing with the customers to understand or to get feedback for the work in progress product which is being developed. There is a certain degree of customer experience focus which is inbuilt as part of the modern product engineering approach, which ensures that there is an enhanced customer focus. There is a certain degree of personalization which is built into. From a product perspective, we see that from a traditional to modern, when we look at the significant jump, which is from a monolithic to a microservices architecture, you will see that there is a robust architecture which is built in. Now, when we talk of building a product which we can continuously innovate, we are not really talking about building the product from scratch again and again. What we are really talking about here is in being able to design a product where the design and the features of the product can evolve over a period of time. And the drivers for this could be either the external market influences like technology trends, could be other influences, or it could be customers' preferences. right? But a robust architecture really helps us build the platform once. So it's more of a platform approach. Build once and keep evolving again and again. There's a degree of quality assurance and continuous improvement, as we saw earlier in the CI/CD approach, is inbuilt in the modern product engineering approach. From a business perspective, we see that there is a greater marketing, there's a greater market alignment. So now that we have seen about continuous improvement and how these factors influence the product part of it, let's see from a business perspective, the modern product engineering approach helps organizations bring in greater market alignment. What this means is by cutting short the gap between the end user customer and the designers, what we are trying to do is we are trying to take the shortest path to the market, which means the time to market for the product is shorter. This allows for more releases to happen. This allows for more relevance to be built into the product. It also brings in a greater control over revenue generation. The traditional approach with its long cycles of product usually meant that the product would have been designed at some point of time and generation of revenue would have happened much later. With a faster time to market, we see that there is more predictable revenue generation. From a cost efficiency perspective, the modern approach of product engineering brings in a lot of efficiencies, whether it is operational efficiency or whether it is efficiency in terms of the product releases what we have. So in all, when we look at from a product engineering perspective, what we see is the drivers as outcomes, what we see are enhanced user satisfaction, innovation and adaptation to the market drivers, to external drivers, internal drivers, operational efficiencies and strategic alignment. So modern product engineering approach really helps in bringing all these three perspectives together in ensuring that modern organizations which embrace the modern approach of product engineering keep on succeeding with their products. Now, having talked about this, let's look at what are some challenges which organizations need to navigate, right? We have seen modern product engineering approach with its simplicity, with its ability to iterate, with its ability to close the gap between end user and the designer, bring in a lot of advantages. However, for organizations which have their traditional roots in, let's say, traditional approach, they have been around for a long time. One of the key things is that they have to worry about integrating legacy systems and infrastructures with modern systems and infrastructure. So the approach could be new, but they do need to think about how to integrate legacy systems. And the challenges with this is that legacy systems have been developed with processes which are more aligned with the traditional approach. So these are some of the challenges which organizations face from a systems perspective. Now we all understand that in today's world, change is the only constant. Even before we could think that GPT 3.5 was the norm, we already know that new iterations of GPT are in progress. So what this means is that for a modern product engineering approach to be embedded as a cultural, at the center of the culture of the organization, there has to be adequate software expertise inside the organization. And that's a key challenge, especially for larger organizations. The time to market and adoption rates, because modern industry challenges are different. Today, nobody has the flexibility to wait for multiple years before a new product release can come. Just think about the kind of patches which software product organizations release on a quarterly basis. Think about a mobile. Android organizations which make Android mobiles, organizations which are working with other mobile platforms, they release software patches on a monthly basis. So the time to market and adoption rates of the features which we are releasing is a challenge. And from a cultural perspective, the organization needs to be ready, needs to be prepared from a people process perspective to be able to meet these demands. From an integration and interface perspective, right? So we all understand the black and green terminals which we used to work in the 80s and 90s. today's world of end users is very different. They are not only smart, but they're adept with technology. So one of the things they expect is a rich user interface and user experience. So if organizations are not prepared to integrate interfaces which are very, very engaging and which are very, very intuitive, they will face a huge challenge. So there are a lot of technological implementations which they need to embed, in their culture. And of course, the core of modern product engineering is its ability to iterate, is the ability for organizations to iterate and release new features. So from a software iterations and testing perspective, like automation testing, for example, in today's world, if a modern organization has not embedded the culture, has not adopted the culture of automated testing of its product releases, their time to market will be significantly impacted. Right? So in summary, what I would like to say is modern product engineering really embeds a culture of customer excellence. It brings in culture of iterative culture of developing new products. It cuts short the communication gap between the end user customers and the designers. And the real beneficiary of this is all stakeholders involved in the experience of the product in itself. Now, if you are an organization which is either looking at developing new products or have your workforce engage in maintaining existing legacy products in a way that they can be integrated with the modern product engineering approach, I hope some of the nuggets which we shared today were helpful, and collaboration with talent development partners like UNext could be the differentiating factor. So thank you so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for more such videos from the Ureka series of UNext.